People say scars fade with time. Mine didn't. Not the one on my skin, and definitely not the one she left on my heart. My name's Aiden Cole, and this is the story of the day she saw my scar, turned her back, and the moment she came crawling back when she learned the truth. Before you judge me, hit subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mafia Hidden Dairy, because what you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's the truth I bled for. The rain had been falling all evening, tapping against the glass like it was keeping time with my pulse. I stood near the bar at the London Art Hall, pretending to care about modern sculptures while my eyes kept drifting toward her, Isla Harrington. She was laughter in human form, red lips and silver dress, talking to everyone like she'd known them forever. "Are you going to keep staring or finally introduce yourself?" Ethan's voice broke my trance. I shot him a look. I wasn't staring. He grinned. "You've been locked on her for 10 minutes. Go on, mate. You look like a man who's forgotten what words are." I sighed. "She's probably one of those people who only dates millionaires." "Then lie," he said, smirking. "Tell her you invented rain." Before I could answer, Isla turned and caught my eye. For a second, the noise of the room vanished. She walked toward me like she owned the ground beneath her heels. "You look like someone trying to escape," she said, voice soft and teasing. "Maybe I am," I replied. "You?" "Escaping boredom." She took the drink from my hand without asking, tasted it, and smiled. "You have good taste." "Thanks," I said, half shocked, half intrigued. "You always steal from strangers?" "Only when they look like they need saving." Her confidence disarmed me. We talked about art, work, places we'd never been but swore we'd go. She told me she was a journalist. I told her I built spaces people pretended to live in. The more she laughed, the lighter I felt. When Ethan returned, he gave me a subtle thumbs up and disappeared, leaving me alone with her. "Do you always charm people this easily?" I asked. "Only the ones who seem difficult." I smiled. "Then I must be very difficult." Her eyes flickered, curious. "Maybe that's what I like." By the time the event ended, we were outside under the awning, watching the rain turn the streetlights into gold dust. She shivered slightly and I offered my coat. "You're not like most people here," she said quietly. "Meaning? You don't talk to impress. You talk like you mean it." "I don't know how to do it any other way." She smiled, that small, dangerous kind of smile that felt like the start of something. We began seeing each other often. Coffee turned into dinner, dinner into nights filled with long talks and laughter that felt like healing. I hadn't realized how lonely I'd been until she came along. Then came that night, the night everything changed. We were at my flat, candlelight, rain outside again, music low. She traced her fingers over the designs I'd been sketching. "You see buildings like people," she said. "Every line has emotion. Maybe because people break like buildings do." She looked at me. "You've been through something, haven't you?" I hesitated. "Haven't we all?" Later, when I went to change, she followed me to the bedroom. I didn't notice her standing there until I turned. Her eyes froze on my chest. The scar, it ran diagonally from my collarbone down past my ribs, ugly, raw, permanent. I froze too. She stepped closer, hand trembling. What happened?" "It's nothing," I said quickly. "Old accident." She touched it gently, then pulled back as if burned. "It looks painful." "It was," I admitted. "But it healed." She said nothing. Her face changed, warmth draining, replaced by something I couldn't name. Pity? Fear? Revulsion? I tried to smile. "Hey, it's just a mark. Doesn't define me." But she looked away, grabbing her coat. I need some air." "Isla, wait." She shook her head. "I just need time, Aiden." The door closed before I could speak again. I waited all night. Texted. Called. Nothing. The next morning she was gone. From my phone, from my life, like we'd never met. Ethan noticed the silence before anyone else. "Where's Miss Silverdress?" he asked over coffee. "Gone," I said flatly. "Already? What did you do? Forget her birthday?" "No, she saw my scar." He frowned. And she walked away. He blinked, waiting for the punchline. You're joking. I shook my head. She looked at me like I was something broken. That's mad, mate. You saved a kid in that fire. That scar's proof you lived. I stared at the window. Maybe she didn't want a reminder of someone who almost died. He sighed. Or maybe she's the one afraid to live. For days I replayed it in my head. Her face, that silence, the way she couldn't meet my eyes. I told myself she'd call, that there had to be another reason. But a week passed, and nothing. Then one night, I found her voice note on my phone. I didn't remember her sending it, just her voice, trembling, distant. I'm sorry, Aiden. I can't do this after what I saw. The message ended abruptly, a hollow click in the dark. I listened again and again until the battery died. The rain returned that night, hitting the window in the same rhythm as before. I stood there, staring into the city's lights, feeling smaller than I'd ever felt. People say scars fade with time. Mine didn't. Not the one on my skin, and not the one she left behind. The night my scar was born still wakes me sometimes. Flames, sirens, screaming, a blur of light and smoke that tasted like death. Someone's still inside, I remember shouting, kicking the car door open. A child's cry cut through the noise. My body moved before my mind caught up. I pulled him out. The fire bit my skin, and for a heartbeat, I thought it won. But I carried the boy out. His mother's scream was the last thing I heard before everything went black. When I woke up in the hospital, Ethan was sitting beside me, eyes red. You're an idiot, he muttered. I croaked. Is the kid alive? Yeah. You saved him. And me? He hesitated. Barely. I looked down at my chest, at the thick, angry scar running across my skin. Guess I brought home a souvenir. He forced a laugh. Hero's mark. But it never felt like that. Not when the whispers started. People calling me reckless, stupid, attention-seeking. I stopped talking about it. Even when the nightmares came, I stayed silent. 2 years. Later, I was almost myself again, working, designing, pretending the fire hadn't stolen parts of me I'd never get back. That night, Ethan dragged me to a charity gala. You need to get out of your cave, he said. I sighed. I'm not good at these things. You don't have to be. Just smile, shake hands, act like you haven't been living on black coffee and regret. I was halfway through the hall when I saw her, Isla. She stood beside a man in a tailored navy suit, Harrison Blake. His hand rested casually on her back like he owned her. The air left my lungs, Ethan noticed. That's her, isn't it? I nodded slowly. Yeah. You want to leave? No, I said. Not this time. Sophie Lane, the event organizer, approached me with a bright smile. Aiden Cole, the architect? That's me, I said, forcing a polite grin. She extended her hand. Your work on the Riverside Museum? Stunning. You should be proud. Thanks. You've done an amazing job here tonight. Her cheeks colored slightly. If you need anything, let me know. I mean, anything related to the event. I chuckled softly. Got it. But my attention drifted back to Isla. She turned, eyes locking with mine. The glass of champagne in her hand trembled. Harrison said something and she nodded, but her gaze never left me. I walked over. Ethan muttered, "Here we go," under his breath. Isla, I said when I reached her. She froze. Aiden, I didn't expect. Neither did I. Harrison looked between us, smiling like a wolf. You two know each other? Isla's voice wavered. We used to. Harrison extended his hand to me. Harrison Blake. Heard your name in design circles. I shook his hand. His grip was deliberate, firm. Likewise. He smirked. Isla mentioned you once, said you had depth. Did she? I replied. I didn't know she noticed. Isla's face tightened. Aiden, can we not? I stepped back. Relax, just catching up. Sophie appeared beside us, oblivious to the tension. Mr. Cole, would you like to join the panel table? I nodded, grateful for the escape. As I walked away, I felt Isla's eyes on my back. During the speeches, my thoughts weren't on the stage. They were on her, on the way she flinched when I spoke her name. on how her laughter used to sound before it turned into silence. After the event, I went out for air. London's night air was cold, sharp. I leaned against the railing, trying to breathe. "She's engaged," Ethan said quietly behind me. I noticed. "Still hurts, doesn't it?" I stared at the Thames. "It's not the engagement. It's how easy she looked pretending I was no one." "Maybe she had her reasons." "Maybe," I said, "but I deserve to know them." He hesitated. "You're not going to start something, are you?" I already did the moment I looked at her. Later that night, I went back inside to grab my coat. That's when I heard them, Isla and Harrison, their voices echoing from the corridor near the dressing rooms. "Why were you staring at him like that?" Harrison's tone was sharp, possessive. "I wasn't," Isla said quickly. "You're overreacting." "I know who he is," Harrison hissed. "You think I don't know who Scarboy really is?" Silence. "Don't call him that," she whispered. "Why not? That's what people call him." The burned hero, the man who ruined my father's insurance company with his rescue stunt. My blood ran cold. Isla's voice trembled. "He didn't ruin anything. He saved a child. And you almost ruined us because of him." Harrison snapped. "Don't forget why you left him." I stepped back before they saw me, heart pounding. Scarboy. That's what I was to them. Outside, the cold felt different, sharper, crueler. Ethan spotted me leaving early. "You look like you saw a ghost." "Something worse," I muttered. "What happened?" "I heard him. Harrison. He knows about me, about the scar." Ethan frowned. "So? It's not a crime to be burned." "It's not that simple." "What did he say?" I hesitated. "He called me Scarboy. Said I ruined his father's company. Said Isla left because of it." Ethan swore under his breath. "What the hell does that mean?" "I don't know," I said quietly. "But I intend to find out." When I got home, I replayed the words in my head. Scarboy. Ruined his father's company. It didn't make sense. The accident was supposed to be random. A stranger's car, a freak night. But what if it wasn't? I sat in the dark, tracing the scar across my chest. Every heartbeat pulsed with questions. Why did Isla really leave? What did Harrison's family have to do with that fire? The rain began again, whispering against the glass. I leaned back, eyes open to the ceiling. I thought I'd buried the past. Turns out the past had just been waiting for me to look away. I couldn't get Harrison's words out of my head. Scarboy. Ruined his father's company. Every time I closed my eyes, that sneer came back. By morning, I was pacing my flat, running through everything I knew, or thought I knew, about that fire. Ethan showed up with coffee. "You look like you haven't slept in days." "I haven't," I muttered. "Something's wrong about that night." He sat on the counter. "You mean the accident?" "It wasn't an accident," I said quietly. "Harrison said I ruined his father's company." "Why would he say that?" Ethan frowned. "His dad owned a logistics firm, right? The car that caught fire was a company vehicle, wasn't it?" My chest tightened. "Yeah, but I didn't know it was his." He sipped his coffee. "So what now?" "You planning to confront him?" "Not yet. I need the truth first." By noon, I was sitting across from an old contact, Detective Callum Hayes, the retired officer who'd handled the case years ago. He looked at me over his tea. "Haven't seen you since the hospital, son. Still carrying that scar?" "Every day," I said. "But that's not why I'm here." "Then why?" "I need to know who the child was, the one I pulled from the car." He hesitated. "That file's sealed." "Then unseal it, please," he sighed. "You don't let things rest, do you?" "I can't. Someone said I ruined their company." "I need to understand." He rubbed his chin. "All right. Off the record. The boy's name was Liam Harrington." My breath caught. "Harrington? That name means something to you?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah, Isla Harrington," he frowned. "That journalist you were dating?" I nodded slowly. "Her brother." "I saved her brother." Callum leaned back. "Small world. Too small," I said quietly. "Did she know?" "She knew," he said after a pause. "Your name was in the report at first, but someone pulled it." "Political pressure," they said. "The Harringtons wanted privacy." "Privacy," I repeated bitterly. "Or control." He studied me. Why are you digging into this now, Aiden? Because the truth burns worse than the fire ever did. I left his house shaking. Isla had known. She'd known from the start who I was, and she'd still left. By the time I got back to the office, Ethan was waiting. You look like you saw a ghost again. I saved her brother, Ethan. He blinked. Come again? 2 years ago. The boy in the fire, it was Liam Harrington. Bloody hell, he whispered. And she never told you? No. I slammed my fist against the desk. She looked me in the eye and said nothing. She let me think she ran because of a scar, but she ran because of something else. Ethan stood. You don't know that. I do now. He rubbed his temples. So what are you going to do? Storm into her fiancé's office and demand answers? I might. Bad idea. Maybe, I said, voice shaking. But I'm done being the victim in her story. He exhaled. You're walking a thin line, mate. Then maybe it's time someone fell off it. That evening I couldn't sit still. I found myself replaying old voicemails, messages, fragments of her laughter. Every sound twisted deeper into me. Then, just past midnight, a knock came at my door. No one was there, just a brown envelope lying on the floor. No name, no return address. I tore it open. Inside was a photo. Isla sitting in a car beside Harrison, tears streaking her face. Beneath it, a note written in neat handwriting. Not everything you saw was real. My hands shook. What the hell? Ethan called just then. You all right? No, I said flatly. Someone knows something. What happened? An envelope. A photo of Isla crying. And a message. Not everything you saw was real. He went quiet. That sounds like bait. Or a warning. Either way, don't go chasing it. You're already losing sleep, man. I rubbed my temple. I need to know what she's hiding. You really think she was protecting you? He asked softly. I hesitated. Why else would she look that broken? Because guilt looks a lot like love sometimes, he said. His words hung in the air. Hours later, I sat alone on my balcony, the city lights flickering like restless thoughts. I whispered to myself, she knew I saved her brother. She knew the truth. So why did she leave? The wind carried no answer, just the faint echo of the fire that started it all. Maybe Harrison threatened her. Maybe she traded her love for my safety. Or maybe she just couldn't stand being tied to someone marked by her family's tragedy. Either way, the burn beneath my skin felt alive again. Not from the fire, but from betrayal. Ethan's words replayed in my head. You're walking a thin line. He was right. But the truth had already started to consume me, and once a fire starts, it doesn't ask permission to spread. The chandelier light burned brighter than I remembered. Same marble floors, same shallow smiles, same art gala where my life first cracked open. Only this time, I wasn't here to admire paintings. I was here to end lies. Ethan adjusted my tie. You sure about this? No, I said. But I'm done being quiet, he sighed. If you do this, there's no going back. There's nothing left to go back to. I looked around, polished guests, champagne glasses, expensive laughter. Then I saw her. Isla. She stood near the stage, a silver gown shimmering under the lights, her eyes scanning the crowd. When they found me, her face went pale. I didn't move. Neither did she. Then Harrison appeared beside her, hand on her waist, his grin slick as oil. He raised a glass. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blake Foundation's annual gala. My chest tightened. His voice filled the room, fake warmth hiding rot. Tonight, he continued, we celebrate generosity, transparency, and integrity. That word snapped something inside me. I stepped forward. Transparency? Heads turned. Isla froze. Harrison's smirk faltered. Maybe start with your own accounts, I said, my voice echoing through the hall. Gasps rippled. Harrison chuckled nervously. Mr. Cole, isn't it? You're interrupting a charity event. Charity? I pulled a folder from my jacket. You mean the shell company you've been laundering donations through? The crowd murmured. Cameras turned. Careful, he warned. You're making accusations, not accusations, proof. I held up the documents. Transactions. Offshore accounts. Every penny you stole. Security stepped forward, but the event host gestured to stop. The crowd was eating it alive. Isla whispered something to Harrison, but he pushed her hand away. I took a step closer. You built your empire on lies. You used her to cover them, Harrison sneered. You think anyone will believe a scarred mechanic over me? I smiled coldly. They already do. A large screen flickered. Ethan had hacked it, projecting the documents behind Harrison's head. The crowd gasped as numbers, emails, signatures flashed across. Fraud, blackmail, manipulation, I said quietly. Quite a resume. Harrison lunged toward me. Isla grabbed his arm. Stop it. He turned on her. You think you're innocent? You ran back to him the second I gave you your freedom. Freedom? She cried. You blackmailed me. You said you'd destroy Aiden if I didn't leave him. Silence fell. Every eye was on them now. I stared at her, heart hammering. Is that true? Tears streamed down her cheeks. Yes, I wanted to tell you, but he... I stepped back. You chose silence. I chose you. She shouted. He would have exposed your father's past. You would have lost everything. Her words cut deep, but the wound was too old to bleed again. You should have trusted me, I whispered. I did, she said, voice trembling, but I was terrified. You nearly died once. I couldn't risk it again. I laughed bitterly. So you saved me by killing everything good inside me. She reached for my hand. Aiden, please, I pulled away. You protected me from him, but who protects me from you? She flinched like I'd struck her. Ethan whispered behind me. It's done. The press has the files. He's finished. I looked at Harrison. His face was pale, jaw tight. You'll pay for this, he hissed. Already have, I said. Twice. I turned toward the exit. Isla called out. Don't walk away. I have to, I said. This fire doesn't need saving anymore. The crowd parted as I moved past them. Reporters shouted questions, flashes blinded my eyes, but I didn't stop. Then I heard her scream. I spun around. Harrison had grabbed her wrist, yanking her hard. You ruined me, he snarled. Let her go, I shouted. He didn't. Her eyes met mine, pleading, terrified. For 1 second I hesitated. Maybe this was karma. Maybe the man who destroyed everything should finally destroy himself. But when she cried out again, something primal took over. I lunged forward, ripping Harrison's hand from her arm. Touch her again and I swear. He stumbled back, rage twisting his face. You think you're a hero? You're just a scar pretending to heal. Maybe, I said, stepping closer. But even scars remember fire. Security finally rushed in, dragging him away as reporters swarmed. Isla was shaking. I took a breath. You're safe now. She looked at me, tears falling. Safe doesn't mean whole. I wanted to say something, anything, but my throat closed. Goodbye, Isla. She reached out, fingers brushing air. Aiden, please don't. I walked away before she could finish. The doors closed behind me, muting the chaos. Outside, the night was quiet, too quiet for what I'd just done. I looked down at my scar, running a thumb across it. It burned faintly, like it remembered everything. For the first time, I didn't hide it. Maybe the scar wasn't a mark of ruin after all. Maybe it was proof that I'd survived the fire. But as I looked back at the glowing building, hearing faint echoes of her voice, I realized survival doesn't always mean healing. Sometimes, walking away is the only way to stop burning. The city looked different from my studio window, quieter, lighter somehow. Maybe it was me who'd changed. Ethan leaned on the doorframe, coffee in hand. You're really doing this, huh? Yeah, I said, glancing at the stack of files on my desk. Cole Foundation for Burn Survivors. It's not much yet, but it's a start, he smirked. You're building again, just not with concrete. I guess healing's a kind of architecture, too. He nodded. You heard about Harrison? I stopped following the news, I said. But I can guess. His company tanked. Fraud charges, public meltdown, Isla. She testified against him. I paused, pretending to stay focused on the papers. Did she? She even mentioned you, Ethan said. Said you were the reason she found courage. I let out a slow breath. Courage comes at a price. Still, he said, you won, mate. Not the way you wanted, but you did. I looked down at my hands. Winning's overrated. Peace feels better, he smiled faintly. And here I thought you'd never say that. When he left, the silence settled in like an old friend. I walked to the mirror on the far wall. My reflection stared back, older, steadier, scar still visible across my chest. It no longer looked ugly. It looked earned. The knock on the door startled me. The mail carrier handed me a small envelope, handwriting I hadn't seen in months. From who? I asked. She shrugged. No return address. I closed the door, turned the envelope over, and saw my name written in soft blue ink. Isla. I sat down, heart thudding, and tore it open. Aiden, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know the truth you didn't hear that night. You didn't just save my brother from the fire. You saved me from a different one. Harrison burned everything he touched. But you showed me what real strength looked like. I left to protect you, and I'll live with that choice forever. You saved my brother, then saved me. I'll carry that scar in my heart forever. Isla. I stared at the letter until the words blurred. For a moment, I almost wanted to respond, to say I understood, to tell her I didn't hate her anymore. But maybe silence was the kindest reply. I folded the letter neatly, slipped it into the drawer beside my desk, and whispered, "Goodbye, Isla." My phone buzzed. It was Ethan again. "You okay?" he asked. "I think so," I said. For the first time in a long time. "What now?" "I keep building," I replied. "People with scars need somewhere to belong. Maybe that's my purpose now," he chuckled. "You're becoming annoyingly wise, you know," I laughed softly. "Don't tell anyone." After the call, I turned back to the mirror. My fingers brushed the scar on my chest, tracing the faint line that started it all. I whispered, "Some scars don't fade because they're not meant to. They remind us we survived." Outside, the sky began to glow, sunrise spilling gold over the rooftops. I opened the window and let the cool air in. For once, the world didn't feel heavy. The doorbell rang again. "Another delivery?" I muttered, walking over. But it wasn't a package this time. It was my phone, buzzing on the table. Detective Hayes' name flashed on the screen. I frowned. "Detective? It's been a while." His voice was low, tense. "Aiden, there's something else about that fire you should know." My stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "We found evidence. That car fire, it wasn't an accident. The line crackled. What are you saying?" I asked. But before he could answer, the call cut out. The phone went silent, leaving only the sound of the wind through the open window. I stood there, staring at the city that had started to feel safe again, wondering if the fire I'd escaped was still burning somewhere I couldn't see.